And Jeff, I believe you're next.
Just before that, we didn't need to get on record that the other bid for the carpet was $4,017.
Okay.
That's all.
Morning.
Morning. We're moving right along this morning, huh?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
for a change.
Did you get that? The other bid. The other bid.
$4,017.
Well, we have a few topics to look at this morning. First, in regards to apartment number 3, you'd authorized release of funds to have a patio door installed. So that work is done. And to finish up then, we need to replace the carpet in there because it's very old and smelly and dark brown. That's really not the standard that we want. So I've gotten a couple of quotes for carpet replacement, and I sent those along to Scott. And just to be detailed, one was for $998. That's replacing it. That's the materials and installation. And the other quote was $1,303. And we've utilized both of those. The $998 was Dave Wright. $1,303 was Scott Schultz. Even though Scott's in Phoenix, his brother came around and measured, and I selected the carpet. So I got a quote back from Scott. We've utilized both of these men, and they both do good work. But there's a price differential.
And you get pretty much the same quality of carpet for both.
Yeah, it's commercial grade carpet, kind of short, but sturdy and attractive. So if you have any questions or discussion,
Can I see those real quick?
sure.
$1,303.70. Well, $300 difference between the two.
$305.70. Boy.
But it don't have sales tax on it.
They wouldn't pay sales tax. I'm pretty good at it.
You are. I'll tell you what, you're a whiz with those numbers.
Really doesn't need approval unless purchasing policy.
I'm sorry.
Purchasing policy doesn't really need.
Right.
It just needs approval.
We raised that limit up to $1,500 for the bids and to have pre-approval by us.
Oh, okay. Well, Scott sent me the resolution, whatever it was, and read different, but it's been amended since then.
I don't know which resolution he showed you, but it's possible.
1707, if I remember right.
But
You can
I
remember
still,
resolution numbers, you're pretty good.
I think
I
that's
still
it.
appreciate you bringing bids in. I think it's.
I do too.
Okay.
I appreciate the seeing.
I do too.
I'd rather go with the higher bid, but that's up to you guys.
I'm all right with going with the lower bids.
I don't really care, just so it gets done. I mean, this man's gonna put up with it, what do you want?
Yeah. How do you want? Where are you leaning? We'll put the hot seat back under you.
Well, the lower bidder has always done a good job for us, and he's ready to get on it tomorrow if it's approved. Whereas Scott's kind of in Phoenix, I don't know when he's going to be back. So
Probably better go with a little bit.
Dave Wright's would be quicker.
It'd be fine with me.
I so move we take Dave Wright's bid
Second,
at what, 900 and
$998.
998?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay.
All right, thank you. Now, if we turn our attention to the apartment block that's going to be demolished, it's apartment 7 through 10. We've got some staff there until May 31st. But we still haven't resolved what the county wants to remove, to repurpose.
Yeah.
I think it's on the back burner.
And we're not sure either. Apparently, the air conditioning units can't be repurposed to suit our needs here.
Because of the coolant that they use.
That
Or-
is just the dated age of the units themselves, and I can't remember the details. Eric, can you?
Yeah, I talked to the guy that helped install them, he's a dispatcher, and he indicated that because of their age, that we really were stepping back rather than forward.
Well,
You know, you can buy a new unit for what you're gonna spend on getting that thing updated. The new units are come down enough that he felt like it'd be beneficial to have a new unit for efficiency. For what you're gonna spend on something used that may only last a week.
you guys got any input to that? And we have the list of all the stuff that's in there. We already had that a couple of months ago.
We've got some bids on that, haven't we, that they want, some of these people want some of the stuff.
Right,
Was it
but
just
then we
the
talked
list?
about opening up, doing the whole apartment. If you want a bid, you're gonna take it all. Isn't that how we discussed that? And you can take 1, 2, or 3 if you want to bid that way. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Whatever.
Because I know we need to get that stuff moved out of there.
Yeah, I'd set a target date of the first week of June to try to get, if you're going to offer it to additional bidders, get the ad in the paper, or just select from the ones that have bid already.
Do you have more than one bidder already?
Didn't Travis?
Milne, he had a bid, but actually, Scott's actually handling the process, and you placed an ad in the paper.
Which I don't have Travis's. I know we could offer that, but I'll figure it out.
Travis's was connected with his estimate for the patio.
Right. I remember
And
that.
that's it.
Might as well.
Do it.
Well, if we put an ad in the paper, we've only had 2, we might as well accept one of them and go on and get it over with.
Oh, yeah, but if he ain't gonna tell them nothing until June 1st, we got plenty of time to advertise for another week or two.
Okay, if you want.
What was the wording on that bid? Or it come out in the newspaper? Do you remember?
Just bids on the contents, departments.
It's been in there for how long, 2 weeks or 3
Well,
weeks?
yeah, it was in 2 weeks, but that's been
A while ago,
a month or so ago.
yeah.
Okay, Travis, is this for just a single room, or is this?
Well, that's for the
All
entire
3.
content for all 4 apartments.
This one's considerably higher.
No, it is.
I'd go with that.
I think I would too.
They can just take whatever they want out of there then. Will be it.
Well,
Basically.
yeah, anything they don't take, then it's
Basically,
going
It's
to be
gonna be
demolished.
demolished, yeah.
$1,000 an apartment then.
That's a little better than I hoped for.
I mean, I don't. I'm gonna get some used refrigerators and cabinets probably,
Probably.
doors.
And Ron's got on his bid here, this bid's from Ron Wilson, St. Francis. Offers $4,000 for portable property as stated in the 4 apartments at the Good Samaritan Complex. I don't know what his definition of portable property is. Still.
What was the other bid?
TJ's Improvements of St. Francis was $1,860.06.
Salvage right's 1,400 there.
Oh, I'm sorry. $1,400, I'm sorry. Any ideas?
I doubt if we get any more bids.
Well, especially for
Well,
that.
that's a pretty good bid
That's a
anyway,
pretty
I'd
good
take.
bid. Okay, do I hear a motion to go ahead and accept R&W Improvements, Ron Wilson, St. Francis, his bid for $4,000?
Do we, and if we take it, are we gonna put a date that it has to be out of there?
I think we should.
I'd say he can remove the portable property between June 1st and June 7th.
So you're gonna limit him just a week to remove it. He couldn't start now if he wanted to?
He could start in one apartment, because we still have a tenant in number 7. That's where we are readying apartment 3 for her.
Right.
And the other 2 are being utilized till the end of
Okay.
May.
Well, we'll just let him contact you, and you guys can work out the details of
Okay.
when and how
All right.
those things can come out of there.
So when do you need them, when are you planning on needing them out of the way?
It's a good question. After today, we'll give you a better answer. But it won't be until after that, because we've been notified not to put the sprinkler, they're not gonna sprinkle the ground and do all of that. So it'll be, they don't wanna prepare it and get it soaked. In other words, when they start the compact and all of that, and when they start all that, it's gonna be that, run concrete and keep it. That'll work for us.
I would think he's gonna need more than a week to get that out of
Well,
there.
that's the reason I asked. If he could communicate with Judd, like the one apartment that's empty now, because it's gonna take him a while
Yeah.
by himself to do all that,
Yeah,
I would think.
and he works by himself most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, so we really can't put a completion date on there then.
Well, you can put a starting date until,
Well, I'm more
They
worried
need-
about the completion date than I am the starting date.
Well, I don't want him to get going before the June 1st. She'll leave it intact until then. Then he's free to do whatever.
Month of June?
You gonna put down the month of June?
I don't know when the demolition's scheduled for, so,
Well, apparently they don't either.
and nobody knows. But it's supposed to be in June.
Well, we can leave that,
I think, I can talk with him and we'll figure it out.
okay.
I move we accept the bid of $4,000 from Ron Wilson, starting June 1.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, same sign. So Ron Wilson or RW Improvements have been awarded the bid then.
Very good. For your information, we had an approval, I don't know if it was a resolution or not, to reduce the number of licensed beds from 35 to 30. And so I've been working through that with KDADS, and we'll have a 30-bed capacity starting July 1st. Until then, we're at 35. And census today is 28. One of those is in the hospital.
Okay.
So, one to Nicole.
And I must give you a compliment. I was in your facility the other day.
Yeah, I saw you there. Uh-huh.
And it was clean and bright, and everybody seemed happy. And
Yep, we try. March financials, you'll see the census had gone up, averaged 27.6, and therefore our operating revenue was up, and just a little bit above our operating expenses. So for March, we had a small margin. First time in a long time. And our census has stayed up through April so far too. And so we're happy we're able to break even. And the apartments are about the same, still census of 9. And so between the two of them together for March, we had a net gain of $2,902.
It's encouraging.
Yeah.
You know, when you're looking back at December and January, nearly $25,000 loss. That $2,902 looked pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, when we got the census, we get the revenue. If the census isn't there, we can't cut our operating expenses below a certain level to continue to operate, of course.
How's your staff right now? You getting close to where you'd like to be?
We're still short a couple of nursing positions. The director of nursing services position has been filled. So there's a nurse from the hospital that decided she wanted to do long-term care. You know Tennille?
I do.
Yeah, so she's going to be starting with us on May 15th.
Okay. Yeah, Tennille's a good
Yep.
nurse.
Yep. And we've got ads out for the other nursing positions, and hope to get some bites on that. Meanwhile, we're using agency personnel, unfortunately. We need to have them maintain our coverage.
All right.
That's all I have. Is there anything else?
I don't have any questions.
No.
Thank you.
I'm good.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you,
Jeff, for
gentlemen.
keeping us informed.
Yeah.
If you would, keep contact with Ron, and make contact with Ron, and see what his timeline might look like. And
Okay, well, Scott going to contact him too?
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, he's nodding yes back there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Alicia, I think we're ready for you.
Are you ready for me?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
See you.
That's what I was reading, I
You
didn't
should sit down this minutes. Excuse me. But the insurance lady's gonna talk so everybody leaves. I know you have a collection. Thank you. Good morning, Commissioner Gardner, Commissioner Yeager.
Morning.
That's who I am, and Commissioner Falconer. Oops, sorry. And I'll put one for Scott, even though it's okay. I wanted to, first of all, good morning. I wanted to bring you up to speed. Commissioner Gardner has a collection of those also. I've been involved with the Cheyenne County Health Insurance since 2014. So I sat with other commissioners and what have you since then. When I was called in to see what I could do, Commissioner Patton had asked me, your insurance was getting close to $1.1 million. Right, the first year after we got it, we saved about $500,000 for this county just by the program that we have. And every year you have saved $300,000 to $400,000. So what I want to do is bring Commissioner Rager and Commissioner Falconer up to speed on what kind of program it is. I know you sat in on the employee meetings and heard the employee meetings. I didn't know if you had or not when supervisor. So one of the things I wanted to show you, if you hadn't, this is normally what we put together for the employees. It's a whole packet. We handle everything from COBRA compliance, everything that Scott would have to do For employee benefits, we take care of for you. If there's claims issues, they call direct to Julie's office or myself. Julie Yarmer is president of Freedom Claims. You've met Julie. She is the numbers person. She is a TPA, very well known in the state of Kansas. She is really good, but she couldn't be here today. I do mostly the service work. I come here quite often. I do the quarterly reports. That's what I'm here today, to show you how you are doing on a quarterly basis. I don't like when clients have an annual renewal and 2 months before the renewal they get the surprise of what the rates are going to be, and they have no idea how their plans are running. This is not a self-funded program. And I know that there was a commissioner earlier that kept thinking it was self-funded, and it is not. It's a fully insured product. The county has purchased a high deductible. The employees see their low deductible. The difference being it's in the reserve fund. And so you know that what your exposure is going to be per employee. And that is where we're saving money. Now, when we come in to do your renewal, your annual renewal,
When is it typically?
we normally come in, that was like in September, October, and we do our estimated, how you're running, how it looks, what your current, for example, this was the renewal that we brought in, let me see when it was, October 31st, okay, this is my copy. I didn't know what you all got from the prior commissioners or what Scott received from anyone, so that's why I'm kind of doing this real quick review. So what we did, and everyone got this, when your renewal came up with United Healthcare, there was a 10.8% increase. Now, your increase is not on your whole plan, it's just on your umbrella, the portion that actually goes to the insurance company. That is the only increase. Where you have, if you're writing your insurance direct through an insurance company, say you went to Allied and you were going to work directly with Allied with your employee benefits, if you got a 10 or 11% rate increase, that would be on that whole premium. Here, your rate increase is only on the portion of that $5,000 or $6,000 deductible plan, so it's a lot less. So, for example, it was 10% rate increase. We went to Aetna. Aetna was going to be 27% more than what you were paying. We went to Allied, and we went to Blue Cross. That's when Blue Cross came in. Now we can get quotes for Blue Cross. We can get them from everyone, and we do get quotes from all the big players. We don't want to get an insurance plan in here that your employees now have to travel to Denver to use a provider. We want them to be able to use local providers, the area, and anywhere they want to go. Blue Cross came in, and they were almost 21% higher than what you guys were currently paying. And it was a less benefit plan. Your employees were going to have more out of their pocket. So basically, that was out, Allied's out, Aetna at 27% was out. So what we did is we went with the renewal, the 10% rate increase, and that's where we stayed. Now you have been with United Healthcare now since the beginning. Right now, at this point, the projections at that point were $560,000. That is your total cost so far that year. That beats 1.1 million quite a bit. So this is definitely working for Cheyenne County. It's working for a lot of counties. But I wanted to show you what is brought in, and when we bring it in, it's in a nice pretty book like this, and it shows you everything that your plan has been doing so far. The other thing I wanted to talk to you, let me back up. I jump around a little bit. thank you for allowing me to do the scholarships. I do the scholarships here in Bird City every year, and I always get permission from you guys, and I appreciate that. You have a checking account, and this is the amount of money that goes into your reserve account, because if it's not used for claims to meet that gap between what the employees have and what the deductible is, that money goes into a reserve account. I'm sure that Scott has this number, but right now, this was back in March. You can see your bottom number there, down at the bottom. That's what you have in your reserve account so far. See the bottom number down there?
Okay.
That's just money sitting in there. That doesn't count how much you've already saved. And that money can roll over every year, and that's what's happened. Every year it just rolls over and stays in that little account. You draw interest on it, what have you. Okay? If I'm going too fast to bring you up to speed, just let me know.
Well, let's back up a second here.
Okay.
This fund, its purpose is for a gap between, how'd you explain that?
Okay, your employees have, this is what your employees have. Your employees have a $1,000 deductible plan. All right, this is the sheet that everyone gets. They have a $1,000 deductible, and then maximum out of pocket is $2,500. All right, so if they're going to have a large claim, they know they're going to have surgeries, they know they're going to have it, they can budget, they know what that's going to cost them. The copay at doctors, $25, $50 for specialists, normal plan benefits. You have purchased a large deductible insurance from the insurance company, and I think it's $5,000. I think you did a $5,000 deductible plan. So the difference between what the employee is responsible for, the $2,500,
25.
and the $5,000, what you've purchased was a fully insured. This is an HRA plan. HRA is health reimbursement account. It's different than an HSA. HSA money belongs to the employee. You fund money into an account for an employee, they leave, they take it with them. HRA, that money stays in your bank account, not theirs. Okay, so every month you fund a certain amount of money, and that's all in the reports, and that goes into this reserve account at the end of the year, and so far, you've always had money in your reserve account left over.
What happens when that reserve is gone?
You continue funding it. It's on a
So
continued
okay.
basis. It's always, there's enough money going into that, you don't have to. The only time that might come up is a brand new, I had a group in Nebraska. They went with this plan. 2 weeks after the plan went into effect, they had an employee that had major spine surgery. Well, that hit before they had even funded any money here. So they had to come up with the $3,000, $4,000, whatever the difference was. They had to come up with that money and pay it rather than coming out of their reserve. It just hit within 2 weeks of the plan going into effect. But they knew that. So what I am doing today is your quarterly review. And your quarterly reviews, wait a minute, that one seems light. Well, there is one in there. I thought I was going to give you an empty one. There you go. And I brought one for Scott, too. There you go, Scott. Now, if you'll turn to the very first page, which is, it's called the quarterly review. It's the yellow, Okay, what this is telling you is that the first column is projected. Now, last year, we projected for 2016 a certain dollar amount. We came within 0.7% at the end of the year. Remember, Commissioner Gardner, we were within 0.7% of coming on target of what we projected. So this is what was projected. This is what is actual. And you see the last column here, and that's with your reserve. You're 14.5% under what was projected. So you're running good on your claims. All right. This second page is going to show you, this is your analysis. This is how your money is going in. You see the first column, the illustrative rates? That is what you would normally pay in a marketplace. We just took your corporate plan rates, and if you get a 6% rate increase, we went ahead and increased it by 6%, which is a lot less than the 20% or 25% like the Blue Cross rate. So we took those rates, and that's what you would be paying in the marketplace for a plan that's going to give your employees a $1,000 deductible. That's what that would be. This is what your umbrella rates are. The second column is telling you what your United Healthcare rates are. And you can see the difference. Then you have your TPA administration fees. Those are Julie's office. That's for her handling claims, all the compliance, everything to do with your plan as a TPA. That's what her fee is. And it's per head, per employee. So if your employee count goes down, that dollar amount goes down too. Then you have what was paid on your monthly medical claims. That comes out of your fund. And same with your monthly prescription drug claims. So those monies come out of your fund. Then you have your risk management fee. You have your gross percent of savings, your net savings. So in the first 3 months, you'll see $91,000 in savings versus going out and either continuing with who you had or going to another carrier. Does this make sense so far? How it breaks down? Okay. Now, the next page you should see is your dental. And if you look here in this column, right here in this bottom left-hand corner, you'll see the rates. You'll see a single rate of $20.10, a family rate is $75.06, and employee and dependent is $46.12. If you went out to the marketplace, which we do all the time, it would be $130 a month for a family. Your dental is incorporated in your HRA plan, so you get to save that money also. You're not paying money to a dental company and then not have the benefits of recouping any of the claims. Now, one way that I use to kind of explain how that works, and let me just show you real quick. Most insurance companies, they figure out what their budget's going to be, and of their budget, they're going to say this percentage here is going to go for our admin. This percentage here is going to go to our overhead and our profit, okay? This amount here, they'll say we're going to allocate that for claims, all right? So of every dollar you spend on your premiums, the insurance companies, all of them, have allocated so much money out of that dollar, all right? So this claims money, if you have good claims, which obviously you all are because you're saving quite a bit of money, you don't get that back. The insurance company just keeps it, all right? So what an HRA plan does is it says, okay, we're going to buy a higher deductible plan, and we're going to give our employees the low deductible. We're going to fund the difference if we're going to get hit, $2,500 or $3,000, or whatever that amount is per employee. We're going to save that money. And that's where you guys have saved your money, is the insurance company isn't getting all that money for the claims. Okay?
I did notice your overhead was way more than the claims.
Would you say, Commissioner Gardner, to me?
What?
Did you say something to me about my
Yeah, I
lawn?
said your picture, I noticed your overhead was way more than the claims.
And it's only allowed to be 20% because there's a law that says you have to spend 80%. Okay, I know. You're so picky with me. Okay, so that page is on the dental. Now, this is an interesting, this is top benefits by group. This is where your claims came in. So if you look down here, you had your prescription drug claims was the most, number one was your prescription drug claims. But it tells you the type of claims they are. So hospital emergency room, there were 5 claims. This is the dollar amount. And this is how much it cost the plan. Because the employees had to pay. Do you see the difference between the emergency room and the amount your plan paid? The second page will tell you the providers, and the 2 pages, dollar amounts match. So if you wanted to know of the hospital miscellaneous surgery, there was 5 of them, and you could look here and see it was Cheyenne County Hospital. So these are not, you can actually see who the provider is for these claims. There are no names. That is protected by HIPAA, so that you won't see employees' names on here. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea. And if you look at the bottom line, it'll show $187,849 total charges, and that matches your first page. And for the 3 months, the plan paid $40,000. And that's in a 3-month period. And then again, we just throw in the benefit and the dental benefits in the very back of it. So basically what the quarterly review does, it just gives us a heads up, gives you a heads up on how the plan is running. If this column here was, say you were even or even behind in this column here, then we would look at doing, maybe figuring out how we could move some monies around or do whatever we can. But right now you're running almost 14.5% under projected, so that's good. So for budget, when do you do your budget? When is your budget? In July? June?
Got to be done by July.
So this will give you a good idea for budget process. You can just stay, I mean, obviously that,
And what we're doing.
yeah, there's no sense to, and the savings is there. And so for budget process, that would probably be a no-brainer to do it that way. Any questions? Scott, I know that you've been in touch with Julie's office a couple of times. How is that going? Is she taking care of everything?
Yep.
And responding quickly to you?
Yes.
I know there was a one issue on a claim for a vision, but that employee had waived that coverage last year, and so when they went to the vision doctor in January, there was no benefits, but that was because they had waived the coverage, so.
Yep.
All right, I want you to make sure you call me Scott, if something comes up that you need or what have you, okay?
Is that no problem?
I know. We're heavy on service. We want to make sure you guys are taken care of. And I'm an independent agent, and I do not work for insurance companies. I am, insurance companies sometimes will have what they call in-house captive agents, and those agents will come, but they don't represent, they can't show you other quotes from other insurance companies, so I don't work for them. So that's why you'll see everything from Blue Cross and Allied and Aetna and all the big carriers, so. Okay? I know, insurance is so much fun, isn't it?
but
And
necessary.
it's necessary, and you want to keep control on it, because it can be one of your big budget items. So, and also keep in mind, if you have any employees that are getting close to retirement age and they're looking for Medicare benefits, I do that also for a lot of my counties. So you keep that in mind, that if they're getting close to retirement, maybe they're still going to stay with the county, but they want to get, sometimes it's actually less expensive is if they do a supplement. And in this case, it wouldn't, because you guys pay 100% of the employee cost, and some counties only pay 80%, so therefore it's cheaper for the employees. So, do I talk enough?
It was easy to understand, so thank you.
And well, I try to make it easy for everyone, except Commissioner Gardner.
I just tell you when you draw
I give
crazy
him
pictures.
trouble. I give him a hard time all the time. All right. You guys have a good day, and make sure my cell number is always the best one, because I do travel quite a bit. So if you have any questions, and again, Julie is a numbers person. If there's any numbers on here or anything that you feel like I don't quite get where this number came from, Julie's number is here. Scott has Julie's number, and she's the one that really crunches numbers for you guys. Okay?
All right.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Reed.
Once I don't have a lot.
Hey, we're actually on schedule.
And we're running on time, so. Basically, only two things to go over are monthly statistics, and then a little bit on the new ambulance. And then we're gonna talk more new ambulance later on with Dolores. When it comes to actually.
Is it gonna be that color?
No.
Good. That's
All I'm showing you is those back doors off of that picture.
okay.
And we gotta decide if we want that obnoxiousness or not. So we'll first go over numbers. The biggest things to point out on numbers is probably, well, we billed $20,000, we received $9,500. Our expenses were $13,000, so our expense percentage is high for this month. That's really not a big concern for me month to month. It's more period to period. I assume next month our received is going to be a lot higher, so that number will go down again. So,
Is it mainly due to insurances and Medicare and that thing?
Yeah.
Their payments?
yeah. I mean, we took, we've got about, well, that last row there, pending patient, we've got $8,700 outstanding that we're waiting from people themselves. We got $27,000 out that we're waiting on insurance. So,
Okay.
yeah, the majority of it's going to be insurance. Overall, we had a busy month. We had 24 calls. The previous 2 months, we had 16, which is interesting. That next section there under operations, our percent task compliance, and if you remember, I kind of covered that last time. It's kind of like station chores. Think of it, station chores and compliance things. Oh, we keep falling, and that's a trend that I don't like to see. From 68% to 47%, now to 27%. That means one of these months we're going to have to get caught up around the station, is what that means. So that's probably the only area that I'm watching right now. A lot of times it has to do with how busy the ambulance service actually is. You don't have as much time to sit around and do chores at the station. So our average shoot time, again, we have to keep that under 5 minutes, or supposedly we get fined by the state. So that's under 5 minutes. And the thing I really liked, we were able to provide advanced life support 93% of our calls. So that's a good number. We had a lot of advanced life support capabilities. Whether they were needed or not, we had the capability. So any question, you can take those back and digest them, you know.
Okay.
We do have a high percentage, I just noticed, in up on the top under collections. We're up to $45,000 in collections. Historically, collections doesn't perform really well. And that we do contract out with the same collection company as a hospital. So a lot of our accounts are shared. Usually if they go to collections on the EMS side, they also have an account in collections on the hospital side, unfortunately. So any questions on numbers?
Do they ever get any paid off though?
Yeah.
And they work on
Slowly.
a percentage basis.
Yeah. I think, what was it, last month or the month before, I gave you the printout for the statistics for collections. It has that on there. I'll print it off for you next time too. It's not a great percentage, but you know, there are some people that gets them to make payments on a monthly basis, and so we do collect. That's part of the job that I absolutely hate dealing with. But on the next sheet of paper is the new ambulance. That picture is not the new ambulance by any stretch of the imagination. The final estimations are coming in at a total of $183,864. There are two items. One item we definitely need, that's intermittent suction. That's going to be an additional $600. The manufacturer does not put those in there. We have to buy that separately once we get the ambulance. So that's not an option. The option is the chevron. And what the chevron is that it's the obnoxious striping on the back of the ambulance. Historically, we have not put those on. That's kind of a new thing. Terry's probably fairly familiar with it. It's a 100% safety thing. Our last fire truck, I noticed that they did get the chevrons put on. To me, that's a pretty expensive option. I was really surprised that they cost that much.
Is it a special paint or what?
No, it's a reflective sticker. I mean, really, that's what it is. So it's, you know, it's a safety thing. It's not an operational thing. I don't have to have it.
Did you check with Hot Brush? He can make them stickers. Might have a better deal than they gonna give you.
The issue is the stickers have to go on before, like, the door hardware. They lay this, I think, by sheet,
So
and then
you
they
don't
cut
have
out the
any
windows, and then they put the door handles on, and they cut out for the door latches.
Well,
That would be my only. I mean, I can check to see if he could do it aftermarket and what he would charge. I mean, that
but
would
do
be
you think
fine.
it's necessary? Most of the stuff's put on there for high traffic areas. I mean, it's something that's supposed to stand out again.
I just
We
told
don't have that kind of a problem.
I told Ryan Murray this morning. I said, if your lights aren't going to get them to realize you are there, and the size of your ambulance,
Right.
I'm not for sure that that's going to do it either.
I agree. I don't see the necessity in having those.
Okay.
Not here.
Everybody agree? We're going to cut that out? Okay. I'm fine with that. And then later on, we'll talk about where the funding comes from. But any questions? That's really all I have.
Not really. I do have one.
Yeah.
Can you explain some of your payroll here?
I've got a complicated payroll.
I noticed that. Okay, most of them I understand here. Your grant monies, your airport transfers, your half shifts,
And your full shifts, probably.
yeah,
Okay.
and your shift bids. Can you explain a little bit of that to us?
Yeah. So when we ran into staffing issues here, I'm going to guess 2 years ago, that is additional incentive for people to volunteer to be on call.
And it is total volunteer. I mean, everybody has the same opportunity to sign up
Yes.
for.
So what happens is I've got a text message group, and I say, and I just did this yesterday, I was like, shift bids available, both shifts on Saturday, both shifts on Sunday, let me know if you're interested. And then they respond back to me individually, hopefully, and not the whole group, and tell me, I'll take Saturday day shift, 12 hours a day shift for $50.
So they actually bid on this?
They bid on it, and then I take the lowest bid, is how I try to keep it fair.
That was the part I didn't understand, was the bid process.
The half shift bid part of that is maybe a year ago we put that into effect, and that was to recognize the people, the volunteers that were taking all this call on the weekends voluntarily and saying, hey, you know, you signed up for call a month ahead, and you signed up for every single weekend of this month, and you're getting 50 cents an hour to do this, and then there's people that are getting shift bid wages that are way more than 50 cents. So what we did is we decided we're just going to give them half the rate. So if the shift bid, like my example, came in at $50, and this is usually how it happens. Usually it's a St. Francis opening, because Bird City is really good about taking their call. Usually St. Francis is bidding, let's say, the $50, and whoever was already scheduled to be on call over in Bird City is getting $25. Is how the half shift bid works. It is administratively, it is a huge hassle for me to keep track of. There have been mistakes along the way, and we make them up the next month. Just last month I implemented an online form that they actually have to fill out to get their shift bid monies, so I don't have to go back through hundreds of text messages and try to figure out who was the cheapest and what we paid them and how many hours, and then we have to take it by half and pay everybody else half. I think that's going to help a lot. I'm putting it into their hands instead of my hands, and then I just print off the online forms when it's payroll time, and I pay them according to these online forms.
What's your special call?
That doesn't get used very often. I think that is okay. And let me make sure that I know which. Okay, so that is anything that's not covered in our policies and procedures. So we've got our local calls, and we pay them a set fee for local calls. We've got our long distance calls. We pay so much for long distance calls. This was a special call because it was to and from Goodland for a doctor's appointment for a procedure with wait time. They were there for like 2.5 hours. So I could have paid that hourly as a long distance transfer, because hours wise it basically was. But I don't like to confuse the statistics, so that's what special calls for. Just something out of the ordinary that we pay them for.
Okay.
If we are staffed the way I hope we're staffed a year from now, I hope shift bid and half shift bid is gone. I mean, that's my
That
goal.
was going to be my next question. Based on staffing, this is basically just because you're low staffed. You're trying
Right.
to compensate these people for
Right.
their
Trying to
extra
provide
times.
incentives for them to sign up, knowing, and I talked to the commissioners about this at the time, we could be opening a can of worm. It could be an area that really gets abused, because there's no incentive now to sign up ahead of time.
Right.
Oh, he's just going to put a shift bid out. So I've talked to staff a lot about that, you know, I encourage them not to abuse the system, because you're only abusing the ambulance department when you do that. Because if we get to the point where we're approaching full-time wages around here, that's the way we're probably going to go. I mean, why would we pay people astronomical numbers to just be on call when they can be at the station actually working, if the numbers are right? You know, and that's why on the statistics, I try to keep track of all this with two lines: that full-time equivalent staff one station, And then the current staff 2 stations, that current staff 2 stations is what we're paying in personnel. So that's got the bids, the shift bids, the runs, that's all that. When that number approaches the full-time is when we've got to,
Make some decisions.
yeah, we got to move a different direction. But like I said, that, you know, I ran a full-time department in Atwood, and I don't want to do that here if we don't have to. I mean, the numbers are just totally out of control.
They're not there to support that.
And we run 2 stations, you know, that's the other thing, that take everything times 2. If you want to serve the Bird City area the same way you want to serve the St. Francis area. So,
Okay.
that's payroll.
Well, it was just confusing to us. We didn't, you know, you have like 1 or 2 people that has pretty large paychecks. And
Yes.
we just couldn't figure out how it was broke down.
And like I said, I've talked to them about that. I said, okay, if you're going to religiously take shift bids, you know, I don't have a problem with it because that's the system. But you also need to take some 50-cent shifts too.
Well, no, you've only got 3 EMTs that are really, that you even have shift bids on.
And that's usually how it is. I mean, either
And
you
that's their
can or you
choice.
can't, you know?
Right. So, just to keep it straight in my mind, the shift bid's open to anybody that wants to
Yes.
place that bid.
Yes. Now, like we have 4 or 5 drivers, I think, they're not eligible for shift bid because they don't occupy a certified spot.
Right.
It's only those people. We have some first responders. We can't run 2 first responders on a shift. So it's got to be a first responder plus an EMT or above. So that would, when I send out the text, you know, I can't say everybody because it's only to fill that slot. So if it's an EMT slot or above, it's only the EMTs and above that are able to shift bid. Drivers, they don't ever get to shift bid because it's not a required position.
Right.
And then first responders, some of the time. But yeah, it's the same people. And I will say, after talking to them, I'll give you one example of, you know, somebody's prescribed a medication to sleep at night. They can't take that medication when they're on call for us.
Hope not.
So they said, you know what? If I'm going to take call for you and I'm not going to sleep that night, you're going to pay me for it, is basically what they're saying. You're going to pay me a decent wage because it's going to take me a day or 2 to recover from that. For me, it's worth it because I get the shift covered. For them, I don't know if it's worth it or not, but I sure would hope so. So it's not like, there are some of them that are making lifestyle changes to make that happen.
And looking to the future, we have some people that are interested in going into.
Oh, yeah. The state just passed some legislation making at least our continuing education a little bit easier. They said they weren't going to touch the initial instruction yet, which is what we need. We need the initial class. I've reached out to another service director that's also certified to teach to see if she would remotely help with the class and she's still talking to the board about how we might be able to do this. But yes, the interest, I'm going to guess somewhere between 15 to 20 names on the board.
Really?
And we had that the last time we graduated 4. So, but the right 4 people can make a huge difference. Too. The right person can make a huge difference. So, any more questions?
Okay, no, thank you.
Okay.
That surprised me. Carol?
Yes, absolutely. So today's my last official day as full-time with the county. And one item of business for grants that I wanted to make sure we handle before I depart is to transfer the funds that will be needed for the 2017-18 fiscal year of the KDOT program. We did get notification that we were awarded the second year of funding that we applied for. And so the fiscal year for the federal and state government starts July 1st. So after July 1st, we would need to move the funds that are budgeted currently in 2017 for the county from the general grants fund line item to the public transportation. So I have a transfer form to do that and transferring on July 15th, and it's $29,133. So if you guys wanted to approve that. It is budgeted, it's already there in the general grants fund, just needs to move to the public transportation fund.
A motion on this then?
I think so.
I move we transfer $29,133 on July the 15th.
For the Public Transportation Grant Fund. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. And then the only other thing I have is, I was curious if you guys had any activity on hiring a part-time grant writer.
I believe
So that's something you're probably looking at middle of May.
Probably.
So under the section scope of work, these are the items that need to be continued to be worked on after I leave the county today. And as we talked about the last meeting I was here, I'm willing to do some part-time work for a rate that we agree upon to make sure that these things continue. We don't drop any grant paperwork, but the transportation program continues to be supervised until we transfer that over.
Yeah, as soon as you get somebody hired for the position, then we'll be able to
Yep.
see what their needs are.
Yeah, and I can train them. I would imagine 8 hours a week for the month of May would probably be what I'd be working on to wrap these things up and monitor these. The main thing that I can't cover is scheduling rides, and that's something I have been doing temporarily, and that's what I highlighted in red there. My drivers have agreed that they will respond to the scheduling request, so it will be the driver that's working that day. It's not ideal, and we've tried that on a couple occasions, and it gets a little confusing because especially around the senior center lunchtime, we've actually had our maximum riders for one day was 13 riders in one day, which was great, but trying to drive the bus and make sure we don't miss calls and return calls, it gets a little confusing for them.
Well, I see that being temporary, so
Yeah.
if they can just bear with us until.
Yep. So, but the rest of that, I can still, the one exception is on the credit card policy. Our policy is that I'm supposed to get receipts turned in within 3 business days. Since I'm only going to check in on Fridays with them, unless there's an emergency, I would be doing fuel receipts every Friday instead of 3 days. So I'll knowingly violate the policy. Just want to be upfront about that.
God.
Okay, good. So yeah, I can still sign off on their time and things like that. So, yeah, and I just wanted to be clear in writing about, the things that I'll be watching and monitoring, so.
Okay.
And we did, the safe room is getting installed next Tuesday, weather permitting. So at 11 o'clock on Tuesday, they'll be in Bird City. And then after they place that, then they'll come over and install the one here in St. Francis. So if anybody wants to go watch it be installed, they're welcome to.
And they can do that in a day?
Yep, it's already pre-built, and they have it loaded on a trailer, big old crane, and they'll drop it in place. And then they'll be back to hook everything up and the generator and all that. But the safe rooms will be available to use as of next Tuesday. They'll be secure. So. And I did add an extra grant report on the back. This is as of today. So far this year, we've received $163,418 in grant funds. Our potential for the year so far for what I've written is $444,853. So, and then on the second page of that is a list of what we've actually received. So we did, the hospital did get a capacity building grant to pay for the monitors that are needed for the new electronic health record system that they're going for, and thermal laser printer. So that happened this week. And then we did get a Hanson grant to install the backup cameras in the ambulances and the recorder on the van. So we'll have no expense with that. K-Camp had already paid for the devices, but we needed funding for the installation. So.
Okay.
And if you guys, I don't know if you want to talk in executive session about a rate, or if we want to agree out here, it doesn't matter to me.
But that's either what's your idea of,
I was thinking 25 an hour. My current rate right now is $22.83 plus benefits. So 25 would be right there in the ballpark. You're looking at $200 a week if I do 8 hours a week.
and that just lasts for,
Until you guys get the new person in and they're comfortable taking over and, yep.
I agree to that.
I'm happy with that.
I think if you're gonna do that, let's just be careful about the wording of $25 an hour up to 8 hours a week, until that is withdrawn from the board. Just so, you know.
Yeah.
Just wanna make sure we get
Yep.
the wording right and everything.
Yeah.
So,
And if the bus has a huge accident and we take more than 8 hours, you know, I'll come talk to you guys about that. But I don't anticipate it would be more than that.
The bus wrecks, it's on you.
There are specific procedures we have to follow if they're involved in an accident,
I
so.
would imagine. Okay, I don't know if we need a motion to do that, or that's just
I
an
think probably
agreement.
the best way to do this is to have Scott just draw up a really quick
Wage
Wage
agreement.
agreement, okay.
So we have work for Scott. Do you want that done today,
Um,
or does it matter?
you know, Scott, can you pull up a wage agreement and I'll hammer one out, Carol?
Okay,
So-
I'll hang around because I've got to,
Yeah.
it'll be $25 an hour up to 8 hours a week until the board rescinds. So, okay. Any other questions about grants? And
Not right now, I think
so
of.
I hope we'll get a good replacement and we'll see some of this good work continue. So
I do
thanks.
too. Thanks for all your help. And I could sure use another 5-minute break, if that's all right with you guys.